While open source has given birth to some of the best technologies which we use in the modern day world, running and maintaining an open source community is not an easy task. You not only need a lot of resources, but also need individuals who are willing to work towards a common goal of creating a meaningful solution for the community. The fact that these individuals are not guaranteed to get financial benefit from their input means that they have to be very dedicated in working towards a common goal, and finding such a community is not easy. As an open source community leader myself, I understand how daunting this task can be, and I'm more than happy when I meet more like-minded people who are willing to lead communities. This is why I'm excited to be joined by a fellow admin from the SpaceYaTech Kenya project to give us a look at what it means to lead a community in Africa, and Kenya in particular. I'm your host, Obi, and I welcome you to the SpaceYaTech Kenya podcast. This is a weekly podcast series that gives you an insight into the African tech ecosystem by engaging directly with the African brains building awesome software products both within and outside our continent. The podcast also gives a voice to the newcomers who are making the transition into technology to share their journeys and ways through which the community can help them. So once again, welcome Catherine. I'm looking forward to having an interesting conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to an amazing session where I talk about myself and also where we're hoping to take SpaceYaTech. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so Catherine, would you briefly introduce to the listener who you are and what you do on a daily basis?
Well, I'm Catherine Kiiru, and I'm a software developer, technical content specialist, and open source advocate. So I currently specialize in front-end development and technical content. And I also mentor at New School Nairobi, where I teach developers on all matters front-end technologies. And I also lead developer relations at SpaceYaTech. So I often advocate for open source because it's a means to create accessible software for everyone, and it's also a path to get into tech. So beyond tech, I do love to travel. I do love to meet new people, especially in tech. And yeah, that's basically what I can say about me. Yeah.
Okay, Catherine. So could you briefly tell us how did you get started in tech, or how did you transition into technology? Because I hear you have a very strong background in technical writing. So how did you transition from technical writing to software development?
Okay, well, first things first, with technical writing, it often requires you to have experience in software development because you're essentially writing about software. So I do both concurrently, where I work on software projects and at the same time I develop technical content for the SAID project. So I got started in tech in my previous role in marketing, where I would notice users would have issues with particular products that we were promoting, and I wanted to solve those problems myself instead of waiting for software developers to work on them. So through that, I got curious about software development. I started studying various courses on how to develop applications, learning about JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and through that, I made the decision to transition into tech. And I came about technical content because in my marketing role, we did a lot of writing. I actually wrote for a magazine called Marketing Africa. And so I'd say my writing skills had started way much earlier. So while learning how to be a software developer, I came across technical content and I figured, oh, I can try this out. And I started writing on my blog on Hashnode. I started writing technical content, documenting about my software development journey. And through that, I started applying for opportunities. And that's how I ended up writing technical content. So I currently do both. I run them concurrently, where I work on front-end projects for clients, and at the same time, I develop content for them. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell about how I transitioned into tech.
Sounds like an interesting journey. Can I ask
Yeah.
maybe a bit about the specifics? How has been the transition for yourself? Like personally, has it been an easy journey? Are there people who have helped you to transition easily, or are there communities that played a key role in your transition?
Yes, I'd say it's been both easy and challenging at the same time. Easy because I had done a lot of research about it. And by the time I made that decision to transition, I knew this is what I wanted to do. So my mind was aligned with exactly what I wanted to do. But at the same time, it's been challenging because, of course, you're learning as well as working at the same time, and learning new concepts that you've not come across in your previous career. So it's challenging, but it's also doable at the same time. So what really helped me is actually a lot of developer communities. To start with, it was She Code Africa that gave me the confidence to, to dive into software completely, because they have a nurturing and supportive community for women, and they have a lot of programs for people transitioning into tech. So you kind of get the feeling that you're not alone in this. You're not the only one who's making such a drastic decision. And with that, you get the confidence to take much bigger risks. Then at the same time, I also enrolled at Moringa School, which I'd say it's almost like an institutional community where they make it possible for you to learn the fundamentals of software development through their short-term certifications. So I did software development certification with them. And from that, it formed the foundation for me to figure out now how to continue my software development journey. Beyond that, we have numerous communities online that support developers, and they basically give you a safe space to say, hey, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm willing to learn. And you have so many people who are willing to help you, and they're willing to give you their time so you can figure out how to become an excellent software developer. So developer communities, they played a major role in where I am right now. Yeah.
Yeah, your story, I think, Catherine, is very inspirational. I think it explains
Mm-hmm.
why even one of the local dailies in Kenya decided to feature your story, I think, today in the morning. It was very impressive
Thank
to read
you.
about your story and learn
Thank
about your
you.
journey. Talking about developer communities, how did you
Mm-hmm.
learn about SpaceYaTech? And how did you come across
Mm-hmm.
SpaceYaTech? And why did you decide to join the community?
Okay, well, I came across SpaceYaTech on Twitter. I hadn't joined it at this point, and basically, I was just seeing them, do the Thursday Twitter Spaces. I was like, okay, well, this is a good idea. But then again, Fred approached me through the DM, and he was like, hey, you know what? I like what you're doing, especially with technical content, and I would like you to join us and to host one of the Twitter Spaces. And at that point, I had a very open mind. I told myself that I'm going to try as many opportunities as possible. And with SpaceYaTech, at that point, I felt it was a young and dynamic initiative that was sort of like exactly what I was looking for when I was starting my career journey. I was looking for a community that is inclusive and it accepts any kind of developer or even tech enthusiast at whatever level they are in their career. So I figured, let me try it out. And I ended up hosting one space on open source, which was very popular. And at this time, I was thinking this is something I would want to see grow. So I took it up as almost like a project, not just something that I work for, but something that is part of me. And I figured I want it to succeed just as much as I want to succeed in my own career. So that's how I joined tech. Fred, the founder of SpaceYaTech, approached me and I got into it. And so far, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, I have to say it's
Yeah.
been an amazing journey for me as well. Me joining
Yeah.
SpaceYaTech is a bit similar to the way you joined the community, because I also came
Okay.
across Fred on Twitter, and uh, we talked over the DMs, and we agreed that
Mm-hmm.
uh, they would like to have me on board and help lead the
Yeah.
community. And at this point, I would like you, as an admin, to maybe introduce SpaceYaTech project as a whole to someone who's never heard
Mm-hmm.
of SpaceYaTech, or someone who doesn't follow SpaceYaTech on Twitter and doesn't know. What could you say is SpaceYaTech all about?
Well, SpaceYaTech, before I even go to that point, I think also what you've done with SpaceYaTech is amazing. And I hope we get to hear your journey into SpaceYaTech and even into tech and the products that you're currently leading. So hopefully we're going to do an interview for you too. But yeah,
Yeah, we
SpaceYaTech.
could plan an episode in the future.
Yeah, we can. So SpaceYaTech started as a community for creating impactful, creating and curating impactful tech conversations, which was something that was lacking at the time or had not developed as much as we had envisioned. And so this is something that has been very consistent for SpaceYaTech. We host spaces every Thursday to discuss all matters tech. But at the same time, we have now grown into an all-inclusive community where our community members get to engage with each other and they get to build projects together. And we basically provide a hub for tech professionals to achieve their potential in Africa and even in the diaspora. So it's an all-inclusive, dynamic tech community for developers and tech enthusiasts. Yeah.
You talked about the spaces. Maybe we could just briefly talk about
Mm-hmm.
the aspects of SpaceYaTech that you've mentioned. Could you
Mm-hmm.
briefly talk about the spaces? When do they happen? And who are the guests, or what do you guys talk about? When do the spaces happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we could
Uh-huh.
we could also talk about, you talked about you guys run a SpaceYaTech project. We could also
Mm-hmm.
briefly talk about that. And you also said that you have a large community, so maybe we could also
Yeah.
just mention a bit about the Discord community which we run. So maybe we could start with the spaces aspect of SpaceYaTech.
Okay. Well, SpaceYaTech has quite a number of products and initiatives that we are currently running. One of it is the Twitter Spaces, where we hold conversations around tech, all matters tech. So this is in terms of software development, in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of data engineering, and so many other areas that are covered within tech. So we host these spaces every Thursday from 8 p.m. Kenyan time, East African time, and we host it for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. So currently we have the spaces ongoing on, and we also record the spaces and post them on our Spotify account, which you can find us at Spotify podcasts, if I'm correct, Hudson, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
podcast name is
yeah,
SpaceYaTech Podcasts. Yeah.
yes. So that's one of our initiatives. We also have a Discord channel where we host various events. We have Code Sunday Schools. We also host a number of groups that are currently building our flagship product, which is the SpaceYaTech open source project. And this open source project is going to host a number of initiatives. So we will have mentorship programs. We will also have events. We will also have careers, product within the open source product. So it's going to be an all-inclusive hub for all matters tech that you can easily find online. And we are hoping to roll that out soon. And Hudson is the one who's leading the project. So make sure to join our Discord channel to keep up with the project. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I think you've really captured our dream
Yeah.
in very few sentences. I couldn't imagine that someone could, because I think our dream is so big, or what we are looking to achieve is so big, but you've captured it in very
Yeah.
few sentences, and I find that impressive. Maybe one
Yeah.
aspect of our community, maybe which I think deserves more light, is
Yeah.
the partnerships part, like how we
Yes.
partner with other communities. Maybe you could shed some light on who are some of the people whom we can partner with, so that maybe they can reach more devs across Africa. Maybe you could shed some light on that.
Okay. Well, because of the kind of impact that we've had so far, I mean, we launched SpaceYaTech in April this year. That's been about 6 months so far. And we have an active community on Twitter and even on Discord. I think currently we are at over 6,000 members
Yeah,
on
I think
Twitter.
our
And
numbers on Twitter are 6,500 followers, if I'm not wrong. And the number
yeah,
grows. Yeah.
yeah, and the number grows every other day. And the engagement, even when we look at our stats, the engagement is off the charts. Then we also have an active Discord community, which currently is over 500 active members. And these are members who are contributing their time and their skills on the UX project. So because of that kind of impact that we've had, we partnered with a number of organizations to spread awareness about their products and what they have to offer for the developer ecosystem. So we've actually worked with Kamilimu. We've also worked with Saiton College, and we are looking to partner with many other companies that we are currently talking to. So what we basically do through the partnerships is we host Twitter spaces where they get to talk about what they have to offer for developers. We also design specific packages for the needs that they have at a particular time. So let's say we have a partner who is looking to launch their products in the Kenyan or the East African community. We talk with them, we create a package where we say, we're going to host a space for you, we'll run a number of tweets for you, and we'll even engage our Discord community, or even we'll do a training session for them to know about your product. So that's another aspect of SpaceYaTech. We help organizations get eyeballs on their product through our community. So that's something we are looking to grow into, and we look forward to partnering with many other tech organizations. Yeah.
Yeah, Catherine, I think that's your docket. You are relations manager, and
Yeah.
you really are doing an excellent job. Because if you look at our
Yeah.
interactions on Twitter, every other day we are getting new members spreading the word about our Twitter account, people asking questions and getting help directly on Twitter by just tagging our account. And there's always a lot of engagements on anything to do with SpaceYaTech, and it shows how much we've grown our credibility within the tech space, not just in Kenya, but Africa in
Yeah.
general. Yeah, I say Africa
Yeah.
in general because, for instance, the product that I'm leading, the initial development phase of the minimum viable product for SpaceYaTech, we have,
Yeah.
I think currently we have 5 nationalities actively working as UI, UX developers. And
Yes.
we have guys from Kenya, we have guys from Tanzania, we have a lot of Nigerians on board. So I'm
Yeah.
also not in Africa currently, I'm in Germany, and
Wow.
we have someone in the United States as well. So it's we are bringing people from all across the world to work together, to share the skills and to partner together to take the African tech ecosystem to the next level. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward
And and
to,
and
yeah, go on, Catherine.
I'm sorry, just proceed. Just proceed.
Yeah, I
You
was just
looking
saying
forward to?
I'm looking forward to more partnerships with not just corporate companies but other open source communities which are looking either to onboard members who want to give back to open source, because as much as we have open source projects, we can't onboard all the developers who have shown interest in contributing back to open source. So it would be nice if other open source communities which are maybe looking for developers to actively work on their platforms, or maybe designers or DevOps engineers, they should just contact us. Maybe you could give them the best way to contact SpaceYaTech, so that if someone
Yeah.
wants to partner with us, then they can directly reach us or quickly get feedback from us.
Okay. All right. Yeah. One of the quickest ways to contact SpaceYaTech is through our DMs on Twitter. And you can contact either SpaceYaTech or the admins. And we are all available on LinkedIn. So you can basically drop us a DM and we can discuss your proposal. So you've raised something interesting about how our community spans basically the globe at this point. And that's the beauty of SpaceYaTech. And that is one of the reasons why I would vouch for anyone to partner with us. Of course, I'm a bit biased, but the numbers, you can see the numbers for yourself. And these are not numbers that we've had to beg people to give us. We've not had to force people to follow us on Twitter or even follow us on Discord. All this has been basically because people are passionate about tech and they're looking for an inclusive community where they can showcase their talent, or they can network with like-minded people, or they can work on amazing projects. And that's also what makes uh, tech in general, that's what makes tech in general an amazing field to work in, that people are quite open-minded. And that is what has driven the kind of impact that we've had. So if we're looking to partner with anyone, we also consider whether your product is going to make a positive impact on our community. And once we see that what you have to offer and what our community is, when we see that it matches, it means that the success that we've had at SpaceYaTech will also translate into the success of your own product, because this is a community built from ground up and by people who are willing to participate within the community. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very nice, Catherine, and I'm looking forward to see the number of organic engagements, or how our organic engagement numbers keep growing on Twitter, and how many organizations will be interested to partner with us. So
Yes,
maybe,
and before you go on, sorry,
yeah,
before you go on, just wanted to expound on what you mentioned about open source projects. There are very many open source projects out there. And what SpaceYaTech will also roll out in the coming months is structured mentorship programs, which Hudson you've been a major champion on. And we are hoping that once we have the structured mentorship program, open source projects or even enterprise companies can come to SpaceYaTech to tap into a ready-made talent pool. And we can partner with you to create customized mentorship programs even. So that's something I wanted to point out, that in the coming months, you're going to be seeing structured mentorship programs. And these are programs that even organizations can tap into to get already trained talent into their companies.
yeah, it's important that you shed more light on that aspect, because I feel there is still a knowledge gap in, especially for young devs who are just transitioning into technology in Africa.
Yeah.
I feel there is a
Yeah.
very big gap between, so maybe like the tutorials on YouTube or maybe on Udemy, and what actually
Yeah.
happens in the enterprise market, like real world
Yeah.
experience. There's a very huge gap, and we are looking to bridge that gap. And one of the ways, as you've just mentioned, we are looking to bridge that gap is to partner with the corporates. So talk to
Yeah.
them, find out which areas or which skills do they feel like the market is not really ripe on, or people are not well
Yeah.
trained on. And then we
Yeah.
will invest time to find mentors and do pair programming sessions with people who are transitioning into tech, so that at the end of the program, they are ready to join the market force and help build products in Africa and across the world.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good thing that you've mentioned, the gap that currently exists, especially with a lot of mentorship programs. Not that they are bad or they're not doing their job, but there's still a lot of improvement in terms of, now that I've done a mentorship program and I've gotten my certification, what next? There's a huge gap in someone to hold a developer's hand and get them into an organization or get them into a structured software development program or a data engineering program that that contributes to their career, even in terms of salaries, in terms of career growth. So I look forward to seeing what you, I, and the rest of the team we get to work on.
Yeah, I'm also really looking forward to see the progress of the team.
Yeah.
And at this point, I would like to find out, you as Catherine, how do you find
Uh-huh.
time to give back to SpaceYaTech? Because we really do a lot of work behind the scenes. Most people maybe don't know it, but we
We
really do a
do.
lot of work. And I would like to know, how do you find time to give back to this open source project and other open source projects which maybe you are involved in?
That's a very good question. It's a question I also ask myself a lot. Yeah, finding the time is basically, I'd say it's a lot of sacrifice. It requires you to not see this kind of initiative as, oh, this is just another job I get to do. No, you get to see it as like your child. You need to see it grow. You need to see it get to a certain point. So with that kind of mindset, I'm able to set aside more hours. I'm able to give more effort than I probably would have not. Um, and that's basically where I get the time. So if I'm working on my software development project, on my technical content project, if I have a to-do list, SpaceYaTech is part of the to-do list. It's not an afterthought that I work on once I think to myself, oh, now I have free time. No, it's part of my day-to-day work. So that's how I find the time. How do you find the time?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I have to thank you for the amount of time you
Yeah,
dedicate to the project, and we can
thank
feel your
you.
impact every day. Just as you've
Yeah.
mentioned it, I've also
Mm-hmm.
made it part of my day. Like
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I have my 8 to 5 job, and
Yep.
once I'm done with my work computer, I open my private computer and I answer
Mm-hmm.
all emails regarding SpaceYaTech, and then
Yeah.
because I'm the product owner currently for the product that we are running. So I have to
Mm-hmm.
first I have to schedule meetings with the product, so the designers, the UI UX
Yeah.
designers, and then I have to give the admins updates uh,
Yeah.
to let everyone know the progress of our project. And then, of course, I have to also check our Twitter and see if there was any relevant questions which I could answer. So I'd
Yeah.
say I dedicate about 2 to 3 hours a day. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
part of the reason why our project has been moving along so fast, because each and every one of us is dedicating a lot of time into the open
Yeah.
source project.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I wake up knowing that at the end of the day, either I'll have meetings towards the end of the day, and I'm always switched
Yeah.
on to our communication channels, because we always communicate on WhatsApp or through our Discord channel. And as you said, giving back to any community, it needs a lot of dedication. And because our project is now in its early stages, it means that we, as the admins and the founders, we really have to put in a lot of work and effort, so that the people who will join the community in future will have an easier job than, so that they don't have to do like the groundwork which we are trying to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
So I'd really like to hear a bit about like, who is your primary target with this SpaceYaTech project? Who is our primary target? Who are we looking to, who are we looking to reach?
Okay, so our target audience from the traction that we've already made also is software developers across Africa and the diaspora. And these are software developers at whichever level of uh, software development they're in. So they could be newbies, intermediate, or even senior engineers. So we target across the board. And we also target tech enthusiasts. They might not be software developers. They might be looking to transition into tech. So we target tech enthusiasts who are looking to transition into tech by giving them real world experience in tech. So this could be in terms of the projects that you're leading, like the UX project. It could also be through mentorship programs that we're currently running. And also, we provide leadership opportunities. You could join SpaceYaTech and take up a UX project or take up a software development project, and you can run with it and you can lead it, or you can even be a mentorship lead. So we provide you a hub for you to get real world experiences in tech. And finally, we also target students, people who are in campus and even in high school, someone who's interested in tech. SpaceYaTech is the place for them. So those are the primary three audiences that we're targeting.
Yeah, it's you've put it in a very nice way that irrespective of your level of experience, there's always space for you in SpaceYaTech, and
Yes.
you can always jump on board and maybe offer mentoring or get mentored by someone who's more senior than you in their career. Finally, maybe we could talk about
before you go on,
yeah.
Before you go on, to talk about the target audience, the reason why we created an all-inclusive community for everyone interested in tech is also because as the world is transitioning into a digital economy, it already has, but it's gaining more traction, and it's looking like that's the kind of world we're going to be living in. It could be anyone who wants to learn what's happening in tech, what's new in tech, what's the hottest thing in tech, or what should they focus on in tech. That's why we started the Twitter Spaces, so that if we're running a talk on cybersecurity, or we are running a talk on getting started in tech, or we're talking about data engineering, anyone, it doesn't require any kind of experience. Anyone can listen in, and they can learn something new about tech, or they can learn in what ways to transition into tech. So that's our approach when we are talking about the target audience.
Thank you once again, Catherine, for exhaustively covering the point. And it was very interesting talking to you, hearing about your personal journey and how you came on board on SpaceYaTech and being part of the admins and you've really been doing a very good job. And just before I let you go, because I know today is on Friday, maybe you could quickly explain to anyone who's looking to join SpaceYaTech how they can get onto our channels, or what should they do, or what are the qualifications to join our project before we finish the podcast.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the qualifications for joining our project. This is the current project that we are running. We are in the final stages of the UX project, and we are moving into the development phase. And this is where we'll require developers. So what we'll do is we'll open source the project, and you can pick up an issue depending on your proficiency level. So we are basically looking for software developers who have experience in contributing to software, experience in writing features, creating new features. So be on the lookout for that, and yeah, you get to contribute and even add the project into your CV as having contributed to it. So so anyone who's looking to join SpaceYaTech in general, really, there's no qualification for you to join. As long as you are passionate about tech and you want to participate in a vibrant community and you want to network and you want to be mentored, SpaceYaTech is for you. So, karibuni sana. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Catherine, and I'm looking forward to
Over to you.
welcoming members who have been who listen to this podcast. And thanks once again for finding time to jump onto the podcast. And I wish you a good weekend back home in Kenya.
All right. You too in Berlin, and thanks for having me.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.